I think we're live now. Yay. Happy Friday.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to Flow Friday. I almost said Flow and Flourish. Name of the podcast, same thing. We are talking all about how mental health is your wealth tonight. And I'm so grateful for Dr. Nicole to be here with us. And if you have not tuned into the podcast this week, the Flow and Flourish podcast, we did an episode on Tuesday where we unpacked a whole lot, talking about some of the signs of depression, kind of talking about what it looks like, what it doesn't look like. And so, again, if you have not listened to that, then I really encourage you to go take a listen. Let us know how it's, helping you. And then, even in the live tonight, feel free to drop your questions because we're going to be talking about the different myths associated with mental health. And I know I have a couple. And Dr. Nicole, I'm sure that there have been plenty that have come across your desk.
Yes,
So
indeed.
feel free to drop it in. Again, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. And Dr. Nicole, I know that I introduced you on the podcast, but tell us a little bit about what you do and, why you do it. And then we'll just dive on in.
The podcast. If you haven't listened, go listen. It was such a fun conversation to have. It was so much fun. I'm Dr. Nicole Washington. I am a board certified psychiatrist. I have a private practice. I take care of a lot of us, right? Busy, don't know how to sit down, Black women. Don't know how to go rest. Don't know how to just get out our own way. Like you just all of that we do. I take care of a lot of that. Um, I do see people virtually, so I see people in multiple states. And
And we're waiting on Illinois. We talked
we
about
waiting
that.
on
They
Illinois. It's
tripping.
pending. It's pending. It's pending. But yeah, I mean, I started doing that because I had colleagues and I had friends and I had my own struggles when I was a resident in training with panic attacks and just having a hard time figuring out how to navigate the mental health piece and how do I find somebody to go see without worrying about, somebody seeing me in the office because stigma's real,
Mm-hmm.
or finding somebody who can see me at a time that was okay because I was seeing patients all day and I wouldn't like, oh, let me just leave this hospital and go see a psychiatrist or a
Mm-hmm.
therapist. It's just hard to find time sometimes too. So yeah, I mean, I do what I do out of need, and out of personal experience.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for what you are doing because, I'm doing this whole women, making history, and you are definitely a woman that I admire who's doing just that by providing these different services. And so I know with my own situation, I don't even think I shared with you when I had my own little mental health breakdown.
Mm,
One of the things that I was afraid of that I want to talk about is if I go and get help, my job is going to know and they're going to fire me because they think that I'm unstable.
yeah.
So, can we talk about that a little bit? Because I know so many of us feel that same way. So, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because some of us are in industries where we will get all kinds of side eye if we, are in treatment. It can be used against us if the wrong person was to know that we were in treatment. So we do
Mm-hmm.
have to be careful, right? We just have to be mindful of who knows this information and, do they need to know kinds of things. But some of us have careers where we're licensed by boards. You're an
Mm-hmm.
attorney, you're a physician. They're asking very intrusive questions about, have you ever been in treatment? And it's not just the, have you ever, been impaired by your mental illness, or are you impaired? Some of these questions are as specific as, have you ever gotten treatment for anything in your life? Which, why do you need to know that? Like,
That's
why?
very intrusive,
Yeah,
like your whole
yeah. Like they just ask in general, have you ever been in treatment?
life. Jean said police department. Yeah, they question you more than the police.
Yes,
And
they
welcome
do.
everybody as you come
No,
in.
they 100% do. And so, then what happens is you got, I mean, people are scared to say. So either they're afraid to tell the truth or they just don't go because they say, well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to show up on my record, right? Another thing that we should all be thinking about that we don't always think about is disability insurance, right? A lot of us have life insurance, not a lot of us have disability insurance. And really, we're more likely to get hurt and not be able to work than to have something catastrophic happen to us and we die at a young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but so then you have to think too, like, okay, when I get ready to go get disability insurance, they're gonna ask me about this stuff and how do I, do I get treatment? And I've had doctors tell me, because I take care of a lot of doctors. I've had doctors tell me like, oh, I want to see you, but I don't know that I can see you because I still don't have my disability insurance in place. So they're even
Mm-hmm.
worried about not being able to get disability insurance, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
insane.
Yeah.
So the reality is, can it come back to hurt you? It can. I mean, it can. Some of
Mm-hmm.
that though is on the person who's taking care of you too. So, I'm very intentional about when I do my progress notes for, my folks who are working and busy. I talk about their level of impairment and can they function and what's their prognosis and all that kind of stuff. So if I ever have to write a letter for a patient of mine, to the the bar, the state bar association, or to the state medical board, I can say like, oh no, I've been seeing them for this long, and I make notes about prognosis and things like that. So I'm not making up stuff, right? And
Right.
so I've spoken to quite a few medical boards, advocating for the doctors I take care of. I've had to do some work with the bar associations with some attorneys I've taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just make sure that the notes are kind of together. But I always tell people it is true. I can't tell you that it wouldn't come back to bite you, but what's really going to come back to bite you is if you let stuff go unchecked, and then
Mm.
you end up having a problem that affects your functioning and affects your ability to do your job, and you didn't do anything about it. Like I think I'd rather fight and say, no, I'm in treatment. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Yes, I had some depression, but now I am working on it to, become a better me so I can do my job better. So I can, I'd rather have to fight that and argue that than to have to argue why I had these problems and didn't do anything about it. And then there was a bad outcome. And depending
Yeah,
on what kind of work you do, your bad outcome could be a really bad outcome, right? So,
it could.
if you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a nurse practitioner, PA, you out here, dentist, you taking care of people, you know, those mistakes can be a little riskier if you're impaired from something like anxiety or depression. So I always encourage people to go for it.
Yeah, I love that. And as I think about the stigma, even in the corporate sector, right? Because I come from human resources, been doing HR leadership for over a decade and corporate for over 20 years. I know I may not look like it, but I have been. And oftentimes managers didn't know how to have those conversations with their employees. And so employees would come into my office and say, you know what? I really need to take some time off, but I'm afraid to have that conversation with my manager.
Uh-huh.
On top of that, is having a mental health situation even covered by short-term disability, right? So you mentioned
Right.
short-term disability, and oftentimes people don't realize that within the short-term disability policies that are provided in corporations, mental health is one of them. And so can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about the myth that if I have depression or anxiety, I don't qualify technically for short-term disability?
It's an impairment. I mean, I think the reality is this: there are a lot of people with depression and anxiety who are able to function just fine. Okay. So, just because a person has depression or has anxiety doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to meet those criteria for that short-term disability, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
all know they holding on tight to those dollars. They won't.
Listen,
They're
the
holding on
insurance
tight.
companies, they
They
whoo,
hold
it's
on
their
tight.
job to do that.
So they want to make sure that, like you really are impaired, because just because a person has, and I agree with that, right? Because that's discriminatory if you think about it, to say that just because you have depression or anxiety and you're having you can't do your job. Like to me that crosses a line, into where it could become discriminatory. So I
Hmm.
get it, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I also believe that if you are able to, that continuing to work is the best route to go, because the longer you're away from work, the harder it is to get back.
yeah.
So I will say I do believe that working, and if you can work and be in treatment and be as functional as possible, because the time that I see people who haven't worked in a while, it is so hard to get them back. But there are people who get to the point where their functioning is impaired. And when I'm talking about functioning impaired, like your concentration
I was
and
just going to ask
focus,
you to
like
elaborate
your,
on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So your concentration and focus are impaired to the point that you can't multitask. And maybe you have a job that requires you to multitask, right? So if you get to the point where your symptoms are interfering with your ability to even get your basic job duties done, then that might be a time when you consider, okay, maybe I need to consider some short-term disability to try to get things together. So impaired concentration, focus, you have a job that requires multitasking, and not being able to multitask could be dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, could
Or
affect
risk
other
to the
people.
business. Yep.
Right, could affect
Especially if
other
you're
people
managing.
if
Mm-hmm.
you're a manager. Sometimes depression and anxiety may bring along you have difficulty interacting with people. So if you're edgy and irritable, or just having to form sentences to communicate with people is difficult,
Yes.
that may be something you want to consider, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, for some people, it's the fatigue, like they're so tired and not sleeping, and that'll affect the focus and concentration. So sometimes it does get to that point. And some people, it's memory, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
people, you have a public facing job, you cannot be snapping at people, right? Like you can't snap at folks at your job. Some of us have jobs where we have to be able to think very quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to handle a lot of unexpected things that come your way. And so if your depression and anxiety gets to the point where you can't do that, that might affect your ability to get your job done. So those are things to consider. And so if you do decide, okay, I need to address this, then I say address it for real, because a lot of times I see people kind of fake addressing
Now, let's talk about what does that fake
fake
addressing it look
addressing
like?
it.
Because I
To
know I've been
me,
there. And how many
well,
other people in the audience, too, I know can relate to that.
the kind of like fake addressing is, okay, well, I'm going to take off for this next month because I'm so stressed and I can't, mentally, I just can't even look at this building. But during that month, they don't sign up with a therapist. They don't see a mental health person. They don't see a psychiatrist. They don't even go to their PCP a lot of times. And if they do, it's only because they need somebody to say, yes, you can be off for the next 4 weeks
Yeah.
to get that form filled out. So it's not, like if you're going to be off, like if you are saying, and you say it out loud, like if you are saying that I am so impaired by my depression or anxiety that I cannot go to my job for the next month, then why would you not do something about it?
Exactly.
Like
Oh
you
my
got to do
gosh.
something about it. So for real, address it, right?
Hmm.
Get in with a therapist. See if you need medicine. Talk to a psychiatrist. Talk to your primary care doctor about,
Hmm.
do I need, if you haven't had a good physical exam in a long time, go get go get yourself checked out. Make sure you're
All
good.
the way.
Make sure it's
Yeah.
not your thyroid acting up that's making things a little bit worse. Make sure your hormones are right. We get a certain age and you start hitting that menopause
And
range,
stuff
and
move around.
stuff starts happening. You never know. So I just say deal with it for real. So a lot of
Yeah.
times the mistake I see people making is their employers will approve, that first month or that first 6 weeks or whatever that is. And
Hmm.
then they'll come, because I see some of those people, they'll come, and then they're like, oh, well, they denied my short-term disability. And then I'm
Hmm.
looking at the facts and I'm like, well, there's nothing here that says you're that impaired, right?
And
Because
then what are you doing about it? Like you said, like what kind of help are you getting?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing to make things better? And you need to make sure that the people that you're seeing have your best interest
Yeah.
in
That's
mind, right?
key. Because you mentioned going to see your PCP. And I remember a couple of years ago when I was going through what I had going on, I went to my PCP and I said, well, I'm feeling like this. And, I'm really, really tired. Like we checked all of my levels, everything was normal. And she said, well, maybe you just up your therapy a little bit. Maybe you just take some time off and you get some rest, go on a vacation. I'm like, lady, I don't have time to go on a vacation. I have a whole job. I'm an HR leader. I cannot just do that. What does that mean?
Right.
And so the result was me having a nervous breakdown and my sister talking me into um, going and honestly checking myself into a partial hospitalization program where
Okay.
I got what I needed. But when I tell you there were so many other people that were, even when you're in something like that, managing the guilt from being away from work,
Oh, sure.
managing, the frustration, like, am I broken? Is something wrong with me? I should be able to continue to do work and to do all these things when the truth is I'd been high functioning, and I know we don't like that
We
word,
don't like
but
that word.
been moving around acting as if nothing was going on when it got to the point to where I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
focus.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't think. I was having crying spells. And it
Yeah.
lasted honestly over a period of years until it all came to a head.
Yeah.
So, how do you recommend? Well, let me get to a myth in between that. So, one of the things that was recommended was medication. And I know my
Mm-hmm.
initial reaction was like, we don't take medication. That's for crazy people, right?
Yeah.
So, talk to us a little bit about that perspective if you're struggling and have a disorder,
Mm-hmm.
and how that helps.
So does everybody need medicine? No, everybody doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do, you do. And I think I know there's a stigma of, oh, well, I don't want to take medicine. People worry about getting hooked on the medicine. That's the first
Yeah.
thing I hear. Most of the medicine that we use for things like depression and anxiety are not habit forming, addictive kind of medications, right? So they're not things that you're going to get hooked on necessarily. No more than you're going to get hooked on your blood pressure medicine or hooked on your diabetes medicine or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So people worry about treatment, and really it's funny because nobody ever, if you went to your doctor and they said, hey, your blood pressure is 175 over over 100 and your blood pressure is high, we need to treat you. Most of us don't think twice. Like you don't even think twice. You're like, absolutely, what are you going to give me? I will absolutely
Mm-hmm.
take it. You're 100%, I will take it. If they tell you your sugar's 300 and they say, oh, you're diabetic, we got to treat you, you like, all right, I'm ready. Sign me up.
You
Like
don't
I'm
question it
taking
at
my free.
all.
You don't question it at all. You
Give
don't
me what
question
you
the
got, Doc.
side
Give it to
effects.
me.
Most people, you don't question the side effects of it. You don't question anything. I, on the other hand, mentioned to somebody, and it's a lot of times it's us, and I'm like, oh, so this is what I recommend. Well, what's the side? Does it have side effects, honey?
You
Everything
can't
you
even
put in your mouth,
concentrate, but you're worried about
everything
the
you
side
put in
effects.
everything you put in your mouth has side effects.
This
Okay,
wine too.
that wine got side effects. So anything you put, it has the potential to do some harm, right? I mean, I'm not trying to stop people from taking Tylenol and ibuprofen, but if you
Mm-hmm.
think about stuff as simple as you have a headache and we don't hesitate to take a Tylenol or take an ibuprofen, if you think about the worst side effects that those drugs have,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty bad. I mean, GI bleeds, stomach ulcers, liver failure, like that. I mean, we talk about some
Yep.
bad stuff
Yep.
that could happen, right? But we
Monet
don't
is
think about
cracking
it.
up over here in the comments.
But we don't think about it, right? We don't think about it. So the first one is people are always, oh, am I going to get hooked on it? Nope. And I'm not saying you shouldn't worry about side effects. You should know, your doctor should be explaining to you what the most common side effects are, what to look for. But really, I want you to have that same motivation and energy about your mental health as you have with your cardiovascular health or your, endocrine system with your diabetes and that kind of stuff, right? Because it's
Somebody
all
put
in there.
put keep that same energy in the comments, y'all,
Yes,
because we need to.
same energy. Like I need you to keep that, right? And it's true. I mean, you brought up wine. Like people say, oh, well, I mean, I live in a state where we have medical marijuana law. And
Mm-hmm.
so, people will smoke weed, every day, multiple times a day. But then we have a whole conversation about, oh, I don't know about this medicine. I don't know. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's just about mindset, I guess, and how you think of things and
Yeah.
the things you've heard, because you hear things that are inaccurate. The other
Mm-hmm.
kind of myth about medicine is people say, well, I just want to be on the lowest dose possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great if the lowest dose possible helps you, right?
And if it doesn't, yeah.
I'll go back to ibuprofen. You take an ibuprofen, they're 200 milligrams. People are taking 1 to 2 of those, right? When they have a headache or something.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably are taking 200 to 400 milligrams just to get relief of that tooth pain or that headache that you have. But what
Yeah.
if I only gave you 50 or 25? What if I only gave you 50? And then
It would
you
be
say, and
good.
then you say, this ibuprofen don't even work. Like it's not working. It don't even work. She done gave me this stuff. My head still hurt. I don't feel good. Well, yeah, because you didn't take enough because
Yeah.
you're worried about, well, I just want to be on the lowest dose. So people are always like, I don't know. I just want you to keep me on the lowest dose. If the lowest dose isn't helping, then that doesn't make sense. Like we got to do stuff that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you say that because so many of us, me included, right, when the option was presented to me, though I went through all of those and was like, so what I'm not going to do is, but then I realized, the same thing that if I were going to go get treatment for a heart condition or something along those lines, I wouldn't be questioning it as much. So, can you talk a little bit about how the medicines help? And not that I'm trying to push medicine on anybody whatsoever, but just understanding for me to understand how it would have benefited me, help me to make my own decision.
And maybe it would. I tell people all the time, if you're someone who's never really been in treatment at all before, if you make the decision, as long as your depression isn't severe, like you're having hopeless feelings, thoughts of wishing you were dead, thoughts of thinking people better off without you, suicidal thoughts, really significant functional impairments, poor sleep. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're not having that kind of stuff, and you say, I want to try therapy first, there's nothing wrong with that. I will never
Yes.
tell you not to, right? I won't tell you not to. I will tell you this, the combination of the two a lot of times works better than either one alone, right?
Yeah.
So there are times that people go try therapy first, and their therapist sends them to me, and the therapist is like, "Yeah, you can't even get what you need to get done in therapy because
Yeah.
because it's a little bit more severe than you thought it was, right? So you thought,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm okay, I'll just go to the therapist. Sometimes medication increases your capacity for therapy
Mm-hmm. And
because sometimes,
capacity coach is loving that
yes,
over here.
yes, because sometimes the therapist is asking you to do things or pushing you to do things that you just can't even think about doing because you're still up here on a level 10, trying to
Mm-hmm.
pretend like you're at a 5.
Yeah.
Right? Because you
Yeah.
get so used to feeling so bad. Like you are used to being depressed and anxious and still pushing through and burnout and wore out and mad and mean us in the
Mm-hmm.
junkyard. Like you just are so used to feeling so terrible that
That's your
you just
norm.
are like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then the
Listen.
therapist starts making you talk about stuff and deal with stuff and asking you to do stuff that you try not to think about, talk about, and do because it makes you feel worse. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, I can't do this. So sometimes medicine gives you the capacity to be able to it really just increases, opens up your capacity for therapy. So I expect medicine to help you not worry as much, right? If your worry is
Mm-hmm.
excessive, I expect it to help with that. But worry
Mm-hmm.
is normal, right? We
Yep.
worry. It
Everybody got a
happens.
little bit of
Everybody
worry.
got some worries. We got a little anxiety. Anxiety protects us, right? It lets you know that dog is coming at you. You better run. Like
Get out
anxiety
the way.
ain't right. Anxiety is like that car is coming pretty fast. You might want to step over to the side. Like that, it's protective in some ways. The problem is when you have that level of concern and fear for your safety when you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
and when you don't need to. And
Yeah.
so that's, medicine can help with that. Medicine can help you just not feel as overwhelmed. Sometimes when people have a lot of anxiety and depression, they just feel super like everything overwhelms them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Their kid comes home and says, "Oh, I didn't finish my homework in class today. Teacher said for you to help me with it." And you're like, "What? What are they doing?" Like you losing your mind. And really you
That
think
was
back.
me at one point. I'm not gonna
But you think back,
lie.
you think back and you go, "Why was I tripping over some homework? Like that is
Listen, I remember
crazy."
coming in and going off because there were two dishes in the sink. Not one, but two. Why are there two dishes in the sink? Like losing my mind, went bananas. And then I just remember my husband, my daughter, and my son, and even the dog looking at me like, what is going on?
She is
And
really too
for two. And so what
much.
can people do if they're, starting to kind of self-assess and notice some of these things? What kind of tools are available for people to, I guess, start to have the conversation with themselves or someone else around, I think something's going on. And to piggyback to that too, one of the things we talked about during the podcast was that people think sometimes that, oh, I'm not crying every day, so I don't really have an issue. And you touched on this a little bit, but what are some of the other things that can come up that we may dismiss? And then what are some of the resources or, areas that we can go into to kind of get the help?
The irritability is one. I mean, you think about it when you're super edgy, right? When you're going off for little things. And
Like the two dishes.
the two dishes, yes. And sometimes we are just irritable, right? Like I remember this time that I remember one time my husband had gone out of town, and it was just me and I don't even know if I had two kids at the time. I probably did have two. And I remember thinking, like it just brought me back to all those women, because my husband is super involved. Like he is by far the more nurturing parent in our household. Like
Go
he is by
husband.
far the most nurturing of the two of us. And so I remember thinking, like literally in that moment, I was like, this is why I see all these angry women with their kids, right? Like it is overwhelming to try to manage your life and their life and all the stuff that comes up. And I think, okay, like this is it, right? So if you're really irritable and you are fussing about little stuff like dishes, and if you are can't sleep, it's taking you 2 hours, you go lay down at 10, but you're not actually asleep till 1 in the morning. That's not
Mm-hmm.
okay. Because then you're just running on fumes at that point. And you keep doing that long enough, it's gonna affect your mood. It can affect your physical health, right? People who don't get enough sleep have increased heart disease. So
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna affect you all over your whole body's gonna be affected.
Yeah.
So it's not just like pushing through. There really is no need to push through. Like I think we should be done pushing through. Like we're done.
Yeah, it's over. We're leaving that in 2020, right? We're in 2021, trying to do things differently.
Pushing through is done. Like there's no point to push through. Take a nap, rest, take a day
Yeah,
off, tell somebody no. Like there's no reason to push through.
yeah. And I know you and I did a clubhouse a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about boundaries. How important are boundaries when it comes to our mental health, and how does that tie into our overall, the
Yeah.
title of this is mental health is wealth. How does that tie into our mental health wealth?
Right. Boundaries are like roadblocks, the little medians in the middle of the road, like the little protection in the middle of the road. They stop me from encroaching too far over onto the other people, and they stop them from encroaching over too far onto me, right?
Yes.
Like they are protective. They protect us. So you know what? That means that I don't I give you I set boundaries with people because I don't want them coming over in my lane. Like
Yeah.
I won't, unless I give them permission to come to my over to my side. And I also don't want to cross anybody else's, right? Like if I care about somebody, I may be crossing a boundary and not even know it because they never said it with me, or I might be making them
Hmm.
uncomfortable and don't know it. So I think boundaries, when we think about our relationships, a lot of times we're super uncomfortable just telling people like, hey, I actually prefer not this. I prefer you not do this. Like we talked about hugs. Nicole's a
I'm a
hugger.
hugger.
This Nicole is not a hugger.
So if y'all meet
And
me, I'm hugging. I'm just saying.
I might let you hug me, but depending on whether how well I know you or not, my body might tense up just a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's a boundary, right? So I think we have to know in our relationships how do we respect that person, and then how do we teach them to respect us, so that our relationships are good. And there is nothing that will add to your mental wealth more than having solid relationships that aren't
Hmm.
abusive or neglectful or like any of that stuff.
Hmm. I love it. Oh my gosh. And so when I think about our mental wealth, tell me, how does our mental health impact our capacity? And I think about that in a couple of different ways. Of course, mental capacity and emotional capacity. When you are not well mentally, how does that impact those other areas?
Well, it affects your functional and work stuff, right? So that's
Mhm.
your bottom line. I mean, most of us are not working for fun. Most of us work
Are
because
you sure? No, I'm just
because
kidding.
we we
Because
like
I'm
to
not.
we like to have a house, and we like to not be naked, and we like to be able to eat, and we want to take care of these kids because they're expensive. So most of us are not working just for fun. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to affect your bottom line, you want to be able to work, and I want to be able to work smart. Like I want to be functioning at the top of my game mentally so that I can get
Mhm.
my work done and be done. Because a lot of times what happens is folks who have a lot of depression and anxiety and stuff who aren't really getting taken care of, it takes them so much longer to get work done than other people. Like something that should take an hour will take them like 3, 4 hours to get done.
Yeah.
They up
It
late.
blocks your flow, right? Your ability to
Right.
flow. Mm-hmm.
So I just think, just making sure that it's not interfering with your work stuff. So that's one thing. It's going to interfere
Okay.
with your work stuff. It's going to interfere with your relationships, right? If you're irritable, edgy, isolating because you don't want to be bothered,
Yeah.
right? Snapping at your kiddos, it's going to be hard for them to feel like they can come to you with big stuff if they can't come to you with little stuff. Like if they
Mm-hmm.
accidentally break a jar and you go ballistic, how in the world do you expect them to come to you if something big is going on?
Yeah.
Or if something is going on at school with one of their friends, or they just won't talk to you at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to affect you. It's going to affect your relationships, your spouse, your significant other. If you're snappy and always mad about something, uh, and can't, like, nobody wants to deal with
To
nobody.
deal with that. Yeah.
Nobody
Nobody
wants to
want to
deal
be
with
around that.
it. Your
Oh,
sex drive is going to be low. Like if you depressed and anxious and constantly in your head and constantly always thinking about um constantly just always think you can't be in the moment. It affects our sex drive. We aren't wired that way for the most part. And
mm-hmm.
so then our sex drive is low. We can't even, a lot of times our self-esteem is low when we have a lot of depression and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So we can't even imagine why somebody would even want to have sex with us, let alone get in the mood to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Thank
affects your
you for
sex life.
saying that because
It
I
will.
said something about that maybe a month or two ago, and I don't think people realize how much, especially for women, that it impacts so many different areas. It's not just you being snappy, it's every
Mhm.
single area. It's literally blocking your ability to flow mentally, emotionally, to function at work, to be able to take care of
Mhm.
yourself. And it's stemming from your mental health. So,
And physically, you think
yeah.
about increased heart disease and heart attacks and things that people stress will literally kill you. Like it will try to take you out. And
Yeah.
stress can't be avoided. I mean, we all have stress we have to deal with, but if I
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with some, like maybe I just want to carry it in a little bitty bag, not a
Now, one
suitcase
of
I
them
gotta
big old
roll
bags.
behind, not a suitcase that needs wheels that I can roll behind me. I want to be
No,
able
we're
to
gonna
carry
leave
it.
that alone.
I want to carry the cute little crossbody that's not disruptive. I don't want to have to pull it around everywhere I go.
Yeah, and I talk frequently too about how heart disease is still the number one killer of women, right? And it's killing 1 in 3 of us, and how impactful stress is on those heart conditions. And so I so appreciate you mentioning that as well. So I'm not making stuff up, y'all. Dr. Nicole telling you
She's
too,
not
okay?
making it up. She's not making it up.
Now, I know I've been talking and you've been talking. I want to check in the chat and see if anybody has any questions. And I'm going to read through some of the comments too. Let's see. So there is a question. So this is from Roxanne. So what about yourself and your child having mental health issues? Hard to juggle. Any suggestions on managing that?
Manage it for real. Like no,
Not
I
for
mean, I'm
play.
serious. Like not for fake, not for play, for real, for real. Like that kid having their therapist, psychiatrist, whatever they need, you having yours. So a lot of times we'll not deal with our own stuff because we're like, oh, I got to get him or her taken care of first. Like
Mm-hmm.
let me get them taken care of, and then it'll be okay, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll take care of, like let me get them squared away, and then I'll. But we all know mental illness is a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. We're talking a journey. So if you're waiting for that right moment, it may never come.
Yeah. I
you
love
know
that.
it just may never come. So I think it's important to, like, for real, deal with it. Both of you don't put off one waiting on the other one to get better. Like, just go for it and dig in. And you may even need family therapy in addition to your individual. So you may be seeing somebody, kiddo may be seeing somebody, and then y'all may be seeing somebody collectively different just to help you maneuver through the communication stuff.
Yeah. And I will tell you, in this household, that is the case. We have, like, even little Liam, little 6-year-old Liam has a therapist, right? Because COVID hit us so hard. Not only did we move and downsize, but everybody ended up being at home. He wasn't able to really see his friends. Everybody really being cooped up. It was just a lot to do. And even prior to that, we were all seeing therapists, but we kind of upped it a little bit more, especially over the course of this last year, to where it's not even just because something is wrong. It's more like preventative
Yes.
maintenance, right? And so,
Yes, we don't have to wait till something's wrong
yeah,
to find a therapist. Sometimes, I mean, life is hard enough just to maneuver. I mean, it's just tough sometimes. So
yeah,
having somebody that you can bounce stuff off of and process through stuff with, because this is the thing. Like we living together, trying to figure it all out. Our kids may not be like us. We may be. I mean, it's just really, really tough. So, and sometimes what's going on with me, I can't share with the people in my house. Because if I
and
do, they're gonna be
I'm
looking at
laughing.
me side eye, right? At every
Yes.
family function, they're gonna be like, "Is she okay? What she told me last week?" That might happen. Or sometimes when we're depressed, or sometimes we just are mad and we have thoughts that would probably hurt the people that we love's feelings if we were totally honest with them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
what that therapist is for. They're not emotionally invested in you. They don't need. They're just not. So I think if everybody's in with their own person, everybody's doing their own therapy, everybody's doing their own thing, then
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be. I think that's the key to juggling it, is to combine the efforts and to talk. Just talk about it. Just
Okay.
talk to each other. So your kid may have the same struggles you're having, and they think something's wrong with them because you don't talk about it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we hold it in, trying to be hard, and we trying to thug it out with our kids, and they over here looking at us like mom's perfect. She can do anything. She's just dealing with
Yeah.
all this stuff effortlessly. And it's like, no, girl, I'm about to fall apart. Like I was this close to cussing at somebody today, and we don't
Yeah.
tell our kids that kind of stuff because we want to hold up this I'm so strong. But they need to know that sometimes we have bad days and sometimes we get irritable with folks and
Yeah.
we
Just
need to
like
know
we're
all that.
human, right? We're
Right.
human. We're
They don't
absolutely
think we
human.
are, but we are.
I was laughing as you were talking because you and I during the podcast talked a little bit about how HR is like the therapy office.
They
And
are.
Dr. Nicole agreed, y'all. Again, I'm not making stuff up
They
because
are.
as you talked about not being able to have those conversations at home, oftentimes they're happening at work in the HR office. And so I want you to
Yep.
know that I'm always recommending people to get a therapist. I'm not licensed, certified, and trained in all of that, but I'm a very good listener and I'm a very good problem solver. And so know that I'm recommending you too. So as soon as you get licensed in Illinois, man, like the floodgates will open. I'm gonna take a couple more questions. Let's see. Hey, Marcus. Oh my, I've known Marcus since I was like 9 years old, so I'm excited to see him here. So your question is, I meant to say, how do you make your significant other? How do you make sure your significant other is always happy?
Okay. Nobody's always happy. Nobody I know. Matter of fact, when I meet people who seem to be always happy, I give them all kinds of side eye because I think something's wrong. Nobody's always happy, right? Happiness is kind of fleeting.
Yeah,
Happiness can be affected by so many other things in the world.
yeah,
I don't think it's happy, right? Um, Happiness is tough. Like to say somebody's always happy, because that's a goal you'll never be able to set, and then you'll always be disappointed, right? Because heartache comes, and bad things happen, and so happiness isn't always there. Um, I have been married for over 20 years, and I
congratulations.
struggle. One of the things early on, I think we all want to make like we want to be happy. We want you to be happy. You're happy. Are you happy? Um, because really your spouse, if you're doing relationships right, that person can make you the happiest person on earth, but they could also make you the most miserable person on earth, because when you are that just when you all in with somebody, when you're all in, it's just the way it is. So I think striving for fulfillment It's good. And I kind of, think about that with my jobs and relationships. Like, is this a fulfilling relationship to me? Do I love this person? I love my husband. He loves me. I know he does. There's not much doubt about that. Not much doubt for him that I love him. We know we love each other, but we also know that sometimes we might do some jacked up stuff
And
to
get on each other's nerves,
we
right?
might
It's
get on each
natural.
other's nerves. We might upset each other. I think it's less about like making sure they're always happy. I think it's important for you to always be able to look at that person and remember why they make you happy. And
I like that.
if both of you are doing that, then even during those crummy times, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
If I can look at him and say, you know what, he getting on my nerves today, but I can come up with a list of all the reasons why he is in the position he's in, and if he can always do that for me, then that is what keeps us together. And I do recommend that people do like a gratitude folder or file for their significant others. I think you
I
do
like
it,
that.
especially if you find yourself going through a rough patch in your marriage and a rough time. Just jot down, like literally, just jot down the little things. I mean, it could be something simple like, oh, he went and put gas in the car for me because he knows I hate going to the gas station. Write
Thank you,
that
Mr.
down.
Roan.
Right. Like you write that down, right? You wrote down, she cooked my favorite thing because she knows I had a bad day and she was trying to cheer me up. Like whatever that looks like. And you just jot those things down. And when times get really hard and you start looking at that person going, what is happening? Like, this is not it. You can go back to that folder and remind yourself, like, oh, okay, well, this is a short thing. This is not
Yeah.
long term. This is short because
It's
I believe that
temporary.
makes a difference because you get in those spells where you just are like, I can't stand you.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard.
I think too, I learned early on when we went through premarital counseling, our pastor talked to us about how we're not necessarily responsible for the other person's happiness. And I think that sometimes I know myself, I had to learn that. I kept thinking that, I needed to do X, Y, and Z to make him happy. And then in turn, I was expecting him to do whatever I thought was necessary to make me happy. And I just want to reiterate that happiness comes from within, right? And then it's relative to that person. And I just love that you say we need to continue to remember why we're with that person and encourage them, be there to listen, and understand that, nobody's going to be happy all the time.
Right.
So
Right.
I love that.
Right.
Okay, I see one more question, and I'm gonna be mindful of your time, Marcus. I hope that answered your question. Okay. How do you deal with neighbors with mental
Oh,
illness?
that's a tough one. I guess it depends on the severity. So
Mm-hmm.
if my neighbor was doing things that I felt were dangerous or disruptive, right? And so, I encourage you to really think through what dangerous looks like. Getting on your nerves is one thing. But if our neighbors are doing things that are dangerous, putting themselves in situations where they could get hurt, anything like that, in those situations, um, I think you have to make sure you're considering your safety as a neighbor. So if they're doing something where you think they might hurt you or you think they may do something to get hurt, everywhere we have some kind of crisis, something, right? Like even if that's you
Mm-hmm.
calling and trying to find out, like, who do I call in the crisis? What happens? And I know we all get a little iffy about, calling the police on our neighbors and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if that person is truly doing something reckless or dangerous, or they've mentioned to you that they were suicidal or something like that, I recommend just ask them, can I help you get somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Can I help you with that? I think a lot of times we don't talk about it. We don't go into ask questions because it makes us uncomfortable. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing we don't want to do is if a neighbor confides in you and shares with you they're struggling or having suicidal thoughts or thinking people would be better off if they were dead and things like that. I think sometimes we say stuff like, "Oh, don't say that. That's not true."
Mm-hmm.
So I
We
think
write it off.
you just ask them, check in, ask them like, "Hey, can I help you get somewhere to go talk to somebody?" Figuring out what that looks like, because I always think for me, like, if I don't do something, like what's possibly going to happen if I don't do something,
Mm-hmm.
and which one can I deal with, right? So my neighbor,
Yep.
if I get my neighbor help because they told me they were going to kill themselves, or they were dangerous. Say they had a more severe form of illness and they were out in the middle of the street naked or something like, something like that. And I
Yeah.
think so the worst thing is that person's going to kill themselves, that person's going to, get hit by a car, somebody's going to hurt them, something like that. um that's the worst thing that can happen on that front. The worst thing that happens if I get them help is they get mad at me. I can deal with that all day.
Yeah, yep, but they'll be okay, right? And
Right.
that is absolutely a great answer. So thank you for that. Okay, Dr. Nicole, I know you have a couple of other things that you have going on. So I want to thank you for being here. Tell everybody where they can find you, how they can connect with you. And again, I really did enjoy having you here. And I know also in the show notes from the podcast, I'm going to tell you to go back and listen to that too, because that information's there. But tell everybody where they can find you and how they can work with you.
You can find me on pretty much all social media sites at Dr. Nicole Psych, DrNicolepSych. So that's Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And you can go to my website, which is also drnicolepsych.com, and you can get information about podcasting or seeing if I can see you as a patient or anything like that.
And I put it in the chat as well. And so, yep, you do have the podcast also. And again, I want to thank you for spending time with us. And if there are other questions, you guys reach out. Make sure that you are following her on all social media platforms and make sure you're taking care of your mental health because your mental health really is your wealth. And I also invite you to make sure you check out my website too and take that capacity calculator because your mental health and capacity go hand in hand. If you are at max capacity, then you probably got some stuff going on that you need to manage. And we would both love to be able to help you do that. And my website is NicoleRoan.com. And I thank you guys for being here tonight. I pray you have a wonderful weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe. And thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Nicole.
Bye.
Bye.